You are watching the Wonder Lab. For centuries, we have looked toward the night sky and admired the brilliance of a planet that dominates all others. Jupiter, the largest, the most powerful, and the most mysterious world in our solar system. It has been called the King of Planets, the ruler of the skies, the mighty guardian of Earth. But the truth about Jupiter is far more complex, far more dangerous, and far less royal than we were ever told, because Jupiter is not a king. It is a destroyer, a colossal machine of chaos and power shaped by storms that have raged for centuries and forces that defy imagination. What we see as beauty is, in truth, the language of destruction, a world that devours everything that comes too close. Scientists once believed Jupiter was our protector, shielding Earth from deadly asteroids by pulling them away with its enormous gravity. But modern research tells another story, that this same gravity has also sent countless asteroids hurtling directly toward Earth. The same planet that guards us can also doom us beneath its swirling. Clouds lies a realm no human could survive. Temperatures and pressures so extreme that any spacecraft would be crushed in seconds. There is no solid ground, no place to stand, only layers of endless storms spinning faster than any hurricane on Earth. Jupiter is not calm, it is not peaceful, and it certainly does not wear a crown. It is a realm of violence, shaped by forces so immense that even light bends to its will. As we dive deeper into its mysteries, we begin to see that Jupiter is not the symbol of order, but the embodiment of chaos. Its beauty is terrifying, its power unstoppable. And as we uncover the truth about this giant, we must ask ourselves one question: is Jupiter truly our protector, or the greatest threat our solar system has ever known? For thousands of years, humanity has gazed upward at the brilliant dot that outshines every star in the night sky. To ancient civilizations, Jupiter was not just a planet, it was a god. In Rome, they named it after their king of the gods, Jupiter, ruler of thunder and justice. In Greece, it was Zeus, the one who hurled lightning from the heavens. Across cultures, it was seen as the symbol of authority, the cosmic ruler who watched from above. But these early myths were born not from understanding, but from wonder. To the human eye, Jupiter looked calm, bright, and powerful. It appeared unshaken in the vastness of the cosmos, unmoving while the stars drifted through the seasons. And so, humanity gave it a crown, believing that the largest must also be the greatest. When Galileo first turned his telescope toward Jupiter in 1610, that illusion began to fracture. What he saw through those early lenses changed astronomy forever. 4 bright points, or moons, circling around the planet like loyal subjects: Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. They were the first worlds discovered beyond Earth's orbit. And with that discovery, Jupiter truly earned its title as the monarch of planets, a planet that commanded its own miniature solar system. But as the centuries passed and our instruments sharpened, a new reality began to emerge. The closer we looked, the more Jupiter's divine image began to crumble. It was not a gentle ruler, but a violent giant, a world of endless storms, unimaginable pressure, and raw, uncontrolled energy. The great red spot, that eternal storm larger than the Earth itself, has raged for at least 400 years, maybe longer. It is not a crown. It is a wound, a scar that never heals. Astronomers realize that Jupiter's size gives it incredible gravity, enough to shape the orbits of entire worlds and enough to destroy them. That same gravity can pull comets apart, tear moons to pieces, and fling asteroids into space or straight toward Earth. The so-called King of Planets was not a benevolent ruler, but a force of destruction disguised as majesty. Still, The myth of Jupiter as the protector persisted. Scientists believed for decades that its immense pull acted as a shield, diverting dangerous asteroids from striking Earth. But then came the evidence that shattered that comfort. Studies and simulations began to show that Jupiter does not only deflect asteroids, it can also direct them. It acts not only as a guardian, but as a cosmic slingshot, hurling deadly bodies inward toward the inner planets. The very same power that saves can also destroy. If we step back and think about it, the myth of the king is deeply human. We are drawn to greatness, to dominance, to the idea that something so big must be in control. But the universe doesn't work in symbols. It works in chaos, in balance, in extremes. Jupiter's reign is not one of command, but of consequence. It does not choose to rule. It simply exists, and by existing, it bends the fate of everything around it. Its storms are not displays of strength, they are screams of energy. Its moons are not servants, they are survivors orbiting in a dance between destruction and endurance. And its massive gravity, the source of its legend, is not the mark of a king, but the shadow of a destroyer. As our technology improves and probes like Juno send back breathtaking data, we now know that Jupiter's beauty is terrifying because it hides the truth of the universe itself, that power and destruction are twins, and that even in the heavens, kings can fall. The myth of Jupiter's kingship was created by our imagination, but what we've uncovered tells a different story. A story of violence cloaked in clouds, of storms that never end, and of a world so massive that it dictates the destiny of others without ever meaning to. Jupiter is not a throne in the sky. It is the beating heart of a chaotic system, and its pulse echoes through every world around it, including our own. And so, the legend of the king begins to fade, replaced by something far more profound. The truth that in the universe, greatness does not mean goodness, and power never comes without a price. For most of human history, Jupiter has been a distant light, a point in the sky that inspired gods, myths, and questions. But as our understanding of the universe grew, the simple image of a shining planet gave way to something far greater and far more terrifying. To understand Jupiter's true nature, we have to let go of the old story, the crown, the throne, the illusion of peace, and look into the heart of the monster that floats in the dark. Jupiter is not a planet like Earth, nor like Mars or Venus. It is a world without a surface, without a beginning or an end. It is a massive sphere of gas and liquid, a storm frozen in time, held together by gravity so immense that even light seems to hesitate before crossing it. At more than 1,300 times the volume of Earth, Jupiter is a cosmic engine, a factory of storms, energy, and chaos. Yet beneath that enormous scale lies a strange truth. It has no solid ground. There is nowhere to land, nowhere to stand. The deeper you go, the more the planet crushes you layer by layer, until every atom of your body collapses into nothing. Its atmosphere is made mostly of hydrogen and helium, the same ingredients that form stars. In fact, if Jupiter had been just 80 times more massive, it might have ignited into a second sun. Imagine that, 2 stars rising in our skies, Earth caught between their light. Jupiter is not a planet that almost became a star. It is a failed one. A celestial body frozen between 2 destinies, too large to be ordinary, too small to burn. When we look at Jupiter from afar, we see its mesmerizing cloud bands, the stripes that wrap around its surface like ribbons of marble. Each of those bands is a current of wind moving at hundreds of kilometers per hour, colliding with others, creating massive storms that can last for centuries. And then there is the Great Red Spot, a storm so vast it could swallow 3 Earths whole. For over 400 years it has raged without rest. No one knows when it began or when it will end. It is the eternal heartbeat of Jupiter, pulsing with energy that never fades. But beneath those swirling clouds lies a mystery that no probe has ever fully solved. As you dive into Jupiter, the pressure rises faster than in any place known to man. The gas becomes liquid, the liquid becomes metallic, and hydrogen itself, the lightest element in the universe, begins to act like metal. It conducts electricity, creates powerful magnetic fields, and fuels auroras so massive they could engulf our planet entirely. Jupiter's magnetic field is 20,000 times stronger than Earth's, stretching millions of kilometers into space, trapping radiation so deadly it could kill a human in seconds. This is not the calmness of a king. It is the fury of a god. At its core, somewhere deep beneath the storms, lies something we still don't fully understand. Scientists debate whether Jupiter has a solid core or a fuzzy one, a strange, dissolving mixture of metals and hydrogen, blending under pressures millions of times greater than Earth's atmosphere. If there is a core, it is not made of stone or iron. It is made of energy, gravity, and compression, a core that may not even have a clear boundary, only a transition between order and chaos. Every part of Jupiter defies the rules we know. Its day lasts less than 10 hours. It spins faster than any other planet. That speed stretches it outward, flattening its poles and swelling its equator. The entire planet is locked in motion, a restless dance of storms, winds, and magnetic waves. Jupiter does not rest, it cannot. It is a living engine of chaos, sustained by forces that we can measure but not truly comprehend, and yet this chaos is not random. There is rhythm in the madness, a hidden order in the violence. The storms feed on heat rising from the deep interior, while winds circle the planet in stable patterns that last for decades. To the human eye, it looks like chaos. To the universe, it is balance. Jupiter shows us that destruction and order can exist together, not as enemies, but as partners in creation. It is this duality that defines the true nature of the giant. It is not simply destructive, nor purely creative. It shapes the solar system, guiding comets, bending orbits, and protecting fragile worlds like Earth. Yet it also destroys, pulling apart anything that drifts too close. It is the force that both gives and takes life, a reminder that in the cosmos, power is never one-sided. When NASA's Juno spacecraft reached Jupiter in 2016, it began to peel back layers of mystery that had lasted for centuries. It found radiation belts more dangerous than expected, magnetic fields that shifted and twisted unpredictably, and strange regions near the poles where lightning erupted from deep inside the clouds. Juno saw patterns that made no sense. Storms forming geometric shapes, massive cyclones arranged like flowers at each pole. Nature, in its most violent form, also shows symmetry, beauty, and purpose. The deeper we study Jupiter, the more we realize that it is not just a planet. It is a laboratory of the universe. It shows us how matter behaves under pressure, how energy moves in chaos, and how gravity sculpts creation itself. Jupiter is the key to understanding not only how our solar system was formed, but why it still exists. Without Jupiter, Earth might not have survived the bombardment of asteroids that shaped its early life. Without Jupiter, the architecture of the solar system would collapse into chaos. But here lies the irony. The very same gravity that keeps us safe is the same gravity that can destroy us. That is the paradox of Jupiter, the guardian and the destroyer, the protector and the threat. It is a cosmic reminder that power always comes with two faces, and that beauty often hides the sharpest truth. To know Jupiter is to confront the very nature of power itself, vast, unpredictable, and indifferent. It does not rule, It does not care. It simply exists, shaping everything around it without emotion or intent. And perhaps in that silence we find the truth of the universe, that the greatest forces are not kings or gods, but phenomena, raw, untamed, and eternal. For as long as telescopes have turned toward the heavens, one feature on Jupiter has fascinated and haunted humanity alike: a vast red wound swirling across its face. Astronomers call it the Great Red Spot. To the human eye, it looks like an eternal storm, a swirling jewel painted on the canvas of the largest planet in the solar system. But in truth, it is far more than that. It is the heartbeat of chaos, the very signature of Jupiter's fury. No other planet carries a mark like this. For at least 4 centuries, and perhaps much longer, the Great Red Spot has raged, spinning violently, devouring smaller storms, and reshaping the atmosphere around it. It is so large that 3 Earths could fit inside it, and yet it continues to shrink, evolve, and transform, as though it were alive. Scientists first observed it in the 1600s, when telescopes were still crude and uncertain, and yet, even then, the storm was already old. That means it could be far older than any human civilization that has ever looked upon it. The Great Red Spot is not a gentle spiral of clouds. It is a vast vortex, a hurricane on a scale our planet cannot imagine. Winds inside it reach speeds of over 400 miles per hour, faster than any recorded storm on Earth. But unlike the hurricanes that rise and fade over our oceans, the Great Red Spot does not die. It has no land to strike, no sea to calm it, and no boundary to stop its motion. It feeds endlessly on the heat and energy that rise from deep within Jupiter itself. As probes and telescopes observed it closer, scientists discovered that the storm is far more complex than a simple circle of wind. It is a layered structure with clouds of ammonia, water, and possibly sulfur compounds creating its crimson color. Each layer moves in a slightly different direction, twisting and folding into itself, creating waves, eddies, and turbulent motion that defy prediction. It is a storm so vast and ancient that it seems to have carved its own personality, changing color, shifting in shape, shrinking and growing as if breathing in time with the planet. But beneath that beauty lies a terrifying truth. The Great Red Spot is not just a storm, it is a symptom of a world that is permanently violent. Jupiter's atmosphere is driven by heat from its own core, not sunlight. It radiates more energy than it receives from the sun, a planet burning with internal power. The Great Red Spot is the visible scar of that internal chaos, a wound that never closes because the planet itself never rests. For centuries, scientists wondered what sustains it. Why has it lasted so long when no storm on Earth survives more than a few weeks? The answer lies in Jupiter's nature. There is no friction, no land, no solid surface to draw away its energy. The atmosphere stretches downward for thousands of kilometers, so the storm simply keeps spinning, endlessly recharged by the planet's internal heat and the violent winds that surround it. Every time it seems to fade, new energy rises from the depths to give it life again. Some researchers believe that the Great Red Spot is slowly dying. Images taken over decades show that it is shrinking, its once enormous size now just a fraction of what it used to be. But even as it shrinks, it becomes taller, rising higher above the surrounding clouds, becoming more intense and more concentrated. Like a storm fighting to survive, it changes its shape to endure. The more it is challenged, the more it adapts. And there is another secret that makes it even more extraordinary. When spacecraft like Voyager and Juno passed by Jupiter, they discovered other storms, smaller versions of the Great Red Spot, scattered across the planet's surface. Some are white, some brown, some invisible light, but blazing in infrared. These smaller vortices are constantly merging, splitting, and battling for dominance. Jupiter's atmosphere is a battlefield of storms, and the great red spot is their king, or perhaps their executioner. If we could stand above it, which we never could, we would see layers of color and cloud moving in impossible directions. The outer edges of the storm spin counterclockwise, while the inner currents twist back upon themselves. Massive lightning bolts flash within the clouds, illuminating gases that swirl like liquid fire. Every part of this storm is alive with energy, raw and unrelenting. The great red spot challenges our understanding of time itself, a storm that outlasts empires, that predates modern science, that has seen the birth and fall of civilizations, and yet still moves with the same ferocity. It is a reminder that while our lives are fleeting, the forces of nature endure beyond imagination. Jupiter's storm is not simply weather. It is a monument to eternity, a timeless display of energy and motion, and perhaps that is why we find it beautiful, because it reflects something we recognize within ourselves: the endless conflict between creation and destruction, between calm and rage. On Earth, a storm is a tragedy. On Jupiter, it is a way of life. The great red spot is the truth of Jupiter's soul. It is not decoration, not beauty, not art. It is the symbol of everything Jupiter represents: unstoppable power wrapped in elegance, chaos wearing the mask of harmony. And through it, we learn something profound about the universe, that what we call chaos is not disorder at all. It is simply nature expressing itself beyond our ability to control or comprehend. Jupiter's storm will one day vanish. Its color will fade, its winds will weaken, and its shape will dissolve into the endless clouds of the planet. But its legacy will remain in every image, every study, every spark of human curiosity that dared to look upon it and ask, why does it exist? When the great red spot finally disappears, it won't be an ending. It will be a transformation, the storm returning to the body of the giant that created it. Beauty and chaos reunited as one. This is the truth of Jupiter's most iconic scar, not the symbol of a king, but the eternal eye of a destroyer. As our journey continues into the endless storms of Jupiter, we now approach a question that has haunted astronomers for centuries. What lies at the heart of this monstrous planet? For so long, Jupiter was thought to be a mystery too deep to solve. Beneath those swirling clouds, beyond the crushing storms, lies something that challenges our very understanding of what a planet is. Unlike Earth, Jupiter has no solid surface. You cannot land there, you cannot walk there, you cannot even drop a probe and expect it to survive. As you descend, the atmosphere grows denser, darker, and hotter. The clouds thicken, the pressure mounts, and every kilometer deeper brings you closer to a realm where physics itself begins to twist. The outer layer, made of ammonia and water vapor, is just the beginning. Beneath that lies a layer of hydrogen, not like the gas we know on Earth, but metallic hydrogen. Under immense pressure, this element transforms into something extraordinary, a sea of liquid metal that conducts electricity and creates the most powerful magnetic field in the solar system. This metallic ocean is the beating heart of Jupiter, an ocean that never ends, a churning sea of energy that generates the planet's magnetic storms, radiation belts, and auroras that could swallow Earth whole. Imagine this: a lightning bolt thousands of times stronger than the fiercest thunderstorm on our planet. Winds that rage at hundreds of kilometers per hour. Radiation so deadly that it could fry any spacecraft in seconds. This is the kingdom of Jupiter, not a peaceful throne, but a roaring tempest of creation and destruction. Scientists believe that deep within this metallic heart, there may exist a core, small, dense, and burning hot, perhaps a leftover from the birth of the solar system. But even this is uncertain. Jupiter hides its core like a secret it refuses to share. Every probe we've sent, every scan we've taken, reveals only more questions. Some suggest that the core might not even exist anymore. It could have dissolved into the metallic hydrogen long ago, erased by Jupiter's own immense gravity. What kind of planet eats its own heart? What kind of world consumes its own origin story? Jupiter is not a king sitting on a golden throne. It is a god of chaos, consuming even itself. When the Juno spacecraft arrived in 2016, humanity finally came close enough to touch the truth. It sent back images that defied all expectations. Jupiter's poles covered in massive cyclones the size of continents. Patterns so strange, so alien, that even veteran scientists were speechless. They had never seen anything like it. The poles of Jupiter do not resemble a planet. They resemble a storm that became a world, but a living, breathing vortex that seems to move with purpose. And so, the deeper we study Jupiter, the more it feels alive. Not in the way we know life, but in the way energy itself seems to breathe and think. Every storm, every current, every rotation feels deliberate, like the slow heartbeat of a cosmic beast. Perhaps the greatest irony of all is this: Jupiter's storms, the same that have raged for millions of years, may never end. They could outlive the Earth, the Sun, and everything we know. When our planet is gone, when humanity is only a memory, Jupiter will still be there, its storms swirling endlessly, its metallic heart beating in the dark. A monument to both creation and destruction. This is not the heart of a king. This is the heart of a monster, beautiful, eternal, and utterly unstoppable. For generations, Jupiter was seen as our savior, the cosmic shield that stood guard over the fragile worlds of the inner solar system. Astronomers called it the planetary protector, believing its immense gravity diverted asteroids and comets that might otherwise strike Earth. In textbooks, in lectures, and in countless documentaries before this one, Jupiter was portrayed as the reason we exist, the silent guardian of life on our planet. But what if that story was only half true? What if Jupiter's role in our survival was never that of a protector, but of a gambler, playing both sides of fate? When scientists first began to model the movement of asteroids and comets under Jupiter's influence, they discovered something astonishing. Jupiter's gravity is so powerful it doesn't just pull objects away. It flings them across the solar system like stones from a slingshot. Some are ejected into deep space, but others are hurled inward toward us. Every time Jupiter deflects one danger, it might create another. The same force that could save us in one century might doom us in the next. Billions of years ago, when the solar system was still forming, Jupiter's gravitational waves shaped the orbits of nearly every planet. It cleared vast regions of dust and rock, but it also destabilized others. Entire worlds that could have become planets were destroyed before they even began. Some scientists believe that the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter is the shattered remains of one such world, a planet that Jupiter never allowed to be born. So when we call it a guardian, we must remember guardians can also be destroyers. They can protect by violence. They can preserve by erasure. Jupiter's way of maintaining balance has always been brutal. It removes threats by annihilating them. In 1994, the world saw this dual nature with its own eyes. A comet named Shoemaker-Levy 9, torn apart by Jupiter's gravity, collided with the planet in a series of explosions so powerful they could be seen from Earth. Each impact released more energy than all the nuclear weapons on our planet combined. To some, it was proof that Jupiter protected us, that it took the hit so we wouldn't have to. But the truth was darker. Jupiter didn't sacrifice itself. It destroyed. It consumed. It absorbed a visitor that dared to come too close, leaving behind only scars that lasted for decades. When we look at those scars, we are seeing the reality of Jupiter's power, both protector and predator, savior and executioner. It doesn't choose sides. It doesn't care about life or death or balance. It simply obeys gravity, the most ruthless law in the universe. Even today, as we simulate the paths of asteroids, Jupiter's unpredictable pull continues to alter their fates. Some it throws into eternal darkness. Some it sends racing toward the sun, and sometimes toward us. So, was it really our protector all along? Or just the reason we've had to evolve, adapt, and survive in a universe that never meant for us to exist? Because perhaps without Jupiter's chaos, Earth itself might never have formed. The same force that destroys worlds may also have forged ours, feeding us with the debris of broken planets, enriching our soil with cosmic dust, and triggering the very collisions that birthed the moon. Jupiter doesn't protect life. It makes life possible. By destroying everything else, it is the universe's cruel paradox, a world whose violence creates order, whose destruction gives birth to meaning. And as we stare at it through the silent eyes of our telescopes, we are reminded that power and mercy are never the same thing. Jupiter is not our guardian. It is the reason we must always guard ourselves. There are invisible monsters in our solar system, not made of flesh or fire, but of energy. And among them all, the most fearsome, the most merciless, is Jupiter. Surrounding the planet like an unseen fortress is a magnetic field so vast it stretches millions of kilometers into space. If it were visible to the human eye, Jupiter would not just be the largest planet, it would dominate the sky like a second sun. Its magnetic influence extends far beyond its clouds, swallowing moons, trapping radiation, and bending space itself into a silent storm of power. Scientists call this invisible structure the magnetosphere. But sphere is too gentle a word. It is not a bubble. It is a weapon. Jupiter's magnetic field is 14 times stronger than Earth's. It sweeps up charged particles from the solar wind, accelerates them to near-light speed, and traps them in radiation belts so deadly that they can melt the electronics of any spacecraft that dares to enter. The region around Jupiter is not just dangerous, it's hostile to technology, hostile to life, and hostile to time itself. When the Juno spacecraft approached Jupiter, NASA engineers called it a dive into hell. Every second, Juno was bombarded by radiation equal to 100 million dental X-rays. It carried heavy shielding, titanium armor to protect its delicate instruments. But even then, they knew that each orbit was a countdown. Jupiter was eating the spacecraft alive, yet in this radiation there is beauty. When the charged particles spiral through Jupiter's magnetic field, they create something magnificent, auroras. Not like the gentle lights of Earth's poles, but titanic storms of light that encircle the planet in rings of electric fire. They are the brightest auroras in the solar system, visible even from space, brighter than any other planetary glow. Each aurora is a scar, a luminous wound where Jupiter's magnetosphere collides with cosmic energy. It is a reminder that what looks beautiful from a distance can be deadly up close. Jupiter's magnetic field also holds sway over its many moons, dozens of them, each locked in a dance of invisible chains. The most tortured among them is Io, the volcanic moon, forever scorched by Jupiter's radiation, its surface cracked and burning, its volcanoes erupting endlessly as tidal forces tear it apart. Io is a world that screams silently, trapped in the grip of its master. Europa, another of Jupiter's moons, hides an ocean beneath its icy shell. Scientists dream that life might exist there, deep in its dark waters, But even Europa cannot escape Jupiter's influence. Its magnetic field constantly interacts with Jupiter's, creating electric currents that ripple through its frozen crust like lightning through water. Even in silence, Jupiter's reach is everywhere. To stand near Jupiter would be to feel the pulse of a living storm, a storm not of wind or water, but of magnetism and death. Its energy radiates across millions of miles, a force so overwhelming that it could strip the atmosphere from a world, erase the surface of a moon, and burn through the shields of any human craft. We often imagine monsters as creatures that roar, crawl, or devour. But Jupiter's monster is silent. It doesn't chase, it doesn't roar, it doesn't feed. It simply exists, endlessly powerful, indifferent to everything within its reach. For billions of years, this magnetic beast has ruled its domain, unseen and untouchable. It is the invisible skeleton of a world that was never meant to be calm. And while other planets spin quietly in their orbits, Jupiter spins with fury, dragging storms, radiation, and energy around it like a cloak of chaos. This is not a king's aura. It is the armor of a destroyer, an unseen empire built on magnetism and fear. And within that empire, even light struggles to escape unaltered. Every spacecraft that enters Jupiter's realm returns with scars, data corrupted, instruments burned, signals weakened, as if Jupiter itself is rejecting our attempts to understand it. So maybe, just maybe, the reason we've never found peace in our understanding of Jupiter is because the planet doesn't want us to. Perhaps some truths in this universe are not meant to be seen, only felt from a distance across the dark vacuum of space. Around Jupiter orbits an empire, a kingdom of moons, each one a world of its own, each one shaped by the will of its master. They are not companions, they are captives. There are nearly 100 moons circling Jupiter, from tiny fragments of ice and rock to worlds larger than our own moon. But among them, 4 stand apart, the Galilean moons first seen through a small telescope by Galileo Galilei in 1610. Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto, 4 frozen witnesses to the chaos of the giant planet. Together, they tell the story of Jupiter better than Jupiter itself. Io. The world that burns Io is the closest of the 4, and it suffers the most. Its surface is a nightmare, a hell of molten rivers and erupting volcanoes. At any given moment, hundreds of volcanoes are spewing sulfur and ash into space. From orbit, Io looks like a living ember, a world forever burning. But Io is not dying. It is being torn apart and reborn again and again. Jupiter's gravity stretches it, squeezes it, and heats it from the inside out. It is trapped in a dance it can never escape, its orbit slightly oval, just enough to make it flex and boil under Jupiter's immense pull. The result is unimaginable heat, volcanic fury, and endless pain. Io is the most volcanically active world in the solar system, a moon that literally bleeds fire. It is what happens when a planet's power becomes too great, when gravity itself becomes a weapon. Io is Jupiter's eternal sacrifice. Europa, the frozen ocean farther out, orbits Europa, calm, white and deceivingly peaceful. From a distance, it looks like a ball of smooth ice, cracked by thin, dark lines. But beneath that frozen shell lies one of the greatest mysteries in the solar system, an ocean. A vast global ocean of liquid water deeper than any on Earth. For decades, scientists have wondered, could that ocean harbor life? The tides of Jupiter keep it warm, the cracks let in energy, and the salt in its waters mirrors the chemistry of Earth's own seas. If life can exist anywhere beyond our world, it might exist there, hidden in darkness, untouched by light, powered only by heat and time. But even Europa cannot escape Jupiter's grasp. Its icy crust is constantly flexed and fractured by gravitational tides. Radiation from Jupiter's magnetosphere blasts its surface, altering its chemistry, erasing its traces. Even if life exists beneath the ice, it may never rise to the surface. Because Europa, like everything that orbits Jupiter, is bound to silence. Ganymede, the Colossus, then comes Ganymede, the largest moon in the solar system, bigger than Mercury, larger than Pluto. If it orbited the Sun instead of Jupiter, it would be called a planet. But Ganymede is not just big. It is magnetic. It is the only moon in the solar system known to have its own magnetic field, a shield within a shield. Scientists believe it hides an iron core deep within, churning slowly, generating its own magnetic pulse. That pulse interacts with Jupiter's immense magnetosphere, creating auroras that flicker across its surface, like silent blue flames dancing in the void. Beneath its icy crust, there may also be oceans, massive layers of salt water sandwiched between ice and rock. Ganymede could be an ocean world, alive in ways we barely understand. And yet it remains chained, orbiting the giant that will never let it go. Callisto, the ancient witness, and then there is Callisto, the outermost of the four. Dark, battered, and old, it is a world of scars, its surface covered with craters upon craters, like a map of everything the universe has ever thrown at it. Unlike the others, Callisto is quiet. It no longer changes. It no longer fights. It simply endures. Some scientists call it a fossil moon, a remnant of the solar system's violent youth. But perhaps it is something more, a warning, showing us what happens when chaos finally becomes stillness. Where Io burns, Europa hides, and Ganymede resists, Callisto remembers. These four moons are not just satellites. They are stories, stories of gravity, destruction, and endurance. Each represents a different face of Jupiter's power. Io's pain, Europa's silence, Ganymede's strength, Callisto's memory, and around them smaller moons drift in countless numbers. Fragments of rock, dust, and ice pulled into orbits that will never be free. Some crash into each other, some vanish into Jupiter's shadow forever. Together, they are the proof that Jupiter does not rule its kingdom with peace. It rules with control. Its gravity binds, its radiation punishes, its presence dominates. The moons of the giant are not its children. They are its prisoners, held by invisible chains, spinning endlessly around a world that will never set them free. Because around Jupiter there are no kings, only survivors. Across Jupiter's vast face, storms twist and rage without pause. They have no beginning, no end, and no mercy. Among them all, one storm stands as a legend, the Great Red Spot. It is not a cloud. It is not a cyclone. It is a wound in the planet's skin, a spinning scar larger than our entire world. When it was first seen through telescopes more than 300 years ago, astronomers thought it was a temporary mark, something that would fade with time. But it did not fade. It grew. For centuries, it has circled the planet, turning endlessly in the direction of Jupiter's rotation, devouring every smaller storm that crosses its path. Inside the red spot, winds scream at hundreds of kilometers per hour. There is no calm center, no eye, only layers of crimson gas swirling through hydrogen and ammonia. Temperatures rise and fall in violent gradients. Each rotation tears fresh bands of color from the clouds beneath it, rust, ochre, and blood-red hues that shift like liquid fire. If Earth were dropped into this vortex, it would disappear without a sound. Not a trace would remain. The pressure would crush continents. The heat would strip the air away. The planet would be erased as if it had never existed. But the Great Red Spot is only one of many. At Jupiter's poles, spacecraft have revealed clusters of immense cyclones, each the size of a continent, arranged in near-perfect geometric rings. No one fully understands how they form or why they remain stable. They should collide, merge, and vanish, but they do not. They orbit one another like dancers in a pattern older than history. Each storm feeds the next. Energy transfers, pressure builds, and lightning flashes across the darkness. Lightning so powerful that it illuminates the cloud tops for thousands of kilometers. The bolts are made not of rain, but of water and ammonia crystals colliding at unimaginable speeds. Every flash releases more energy than the largest thunderstorms on Earth combined. In these tempests, chaos achieves balance. The storms battle, yet none truly win. They shift, expand, contract, a vast breathing motion that gives Jupiter its bands and its beauty. What looks calm from a telescope is, in truth, constant warfare among the clouds. For centuries we have watched these storms and wondered what keeps them alive. On Earth, storms feed on heat from oceans and die when that energy fades. But Jupiter has no ocean, no land, only endless gas and pressure. Its storms draw power from deep within, from the planet's own internal heat, radiating upward through layers of fluid hydrogen. Jupiter burns slowly from the inside, releasing more energy than it receives from the sun. The planet is, in a sense, still forming, still alive. That is why its storms never die. They are the visible heartbeat of a world that refuses to cool, a world whose chaos is its nature. As the Juno probe passed close to these storms, its instruments recorded something haunting, the sound of Jupiter. The low hum of electromagnetic waves, transformed into audible frequencies, revealed a voice, deep, thunderous, and eternal. It was not music. It was not noise. It was the sound of motion that has never stopped. Standing at the edge of Jupiter's atmosphere, if a human could somehow survive there, they would see the clouds rolling endlessly beneath them, mountains of vapor rising and collapsing, spirals forming and dissolving, lightning painting the night side in flashes of blue and white. There would be no horizon, only the curve of a planet that never sleeps. Every storm is a reminder that order is an illusion. The universe does not seek calm. It seeks balance through destruction. Jupiter embodies that truth better than any world we know. It is the proof that chaos can last forever, that violence can be stable, and that beauty can come from endless motion. When the great red spot finally fades, and if it ever does, another will rise to take its place. Because on Jupiter, nothing truly ends. Storms may shift, winds may weaken, but the planet's heart keeps turning, and the dance continues. The storms of Jupiter are not dying. They are dreaming of eternity. Long before Earth had oceans, before the moon existed, before sunlight ever touched our planet's soil, Jupiter was already there, waiting in the dark. It is the oldest world in the solar system, the first child of a newborn star, and the architect of everything that followed. More than 4.5 billion years ago, the sun was still just a swirling disk of gas and dust. Within that disk, invisible ripples of gravity began to gather matter into clusters. One of those clusters grew faster than all the rest. It pulled in hydrogen, helium, rock, and ice until it became a monster, a growing sphere of chaos that would never stop feeding. That sphere became Jupiter. Its birth changed everything. The newborn planet's gravity swept through the disk like a storm, clearing vast regions of debris, redirecting material that might have formed other worlds. Some of that matter was thrown outward into the cold regions beyond Neptune. Some was forced inward, where smaller fragments collided and built the rocky planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Without Jupiter's violent hunger, Earth might never have existed. It is both our creator and our destroyer, a cosmic paradox written in gas and fire. In its youth, Jupiter glowed with its own light. It was hot, nearly a small star. Had it gathered only a little more mass, nuclear fusion might have begun at its core, and our solar system would have become a double star system. Instead, Jupiter stopped just short of that threshold, forever denied the crown of stardom, yet carrying its fire within. It became the failed sun, the eternal pretender. The power locked inside Jupiter has never truly faded. Even today, it radiates more heat than it receives from the sun. That energy comes from slow contraction, the planet still collapsing under its own weight, squeezing its hydrogen deeper, tighter, hotter. Jupiter, in a sense, is still being born. Its storms, its magnetic field, its endless motion are the aftershocks of a birth that never ended. Inside its hidden core, scientists believe heavy elements lie compressed beyond imagination. Metals, silicates, and ices crushed into a single, molten heart, perhaps 10 or 15 times heavier than Earth. Around that heart swirl layers of metallic hydrogen and molecular gas, moving like tides in a sea of fire. Each rotation mixes the layers, carrying secrets upward, erasing the evidence of how the planet first formed. Every attempt to look inside is like trying to read a book that keeps rewriting itself. When the Juno spacecraft measured Jupiter's gravitational field, it discovered something astonishing. The core might not be solid at all. It could be a fuzzy blur of heavy elements spread through half the planet's radius, a diluted core, a relic of violent impacts during the solar system's infancy. That means Jupiter may have once collided with another world, a young proto-planet almost as large as itself. The two merged, leaving behind a single giant, its insides forever mixed. Jupiter, then, is not just the first planet. It is also a graveyard, a monument built from the ruins of another, and it didn't stop there. Jupiter's gravity sculpted the orbits of everything around it. It defined where Saturn could form, where asteroids would gather, where comets would fall. The story of every planet, every moon, every piece of rock between the Sun and the Kuiper Belt carries Jupiter's signature. Even now, millions of years after its birth, the echoes of its creation still shape the skies we see. Every atom on Earth, every element in our bodies, has in some way been touched by Jupiter's influence. It stirred the early solar nebula, distributing carbon, oxygen, and water across space. The same storms that shattered worlds may have delivered the building blocks of life. So when we look up at Jupiter through the black of night, we are not only seeing a planet, we are seeing the ancient hands that molded our home. And yet, for all we know, the mystery deepens. Why did Jupiter form where it did? Why not closer to the Sun or farther away? Why did its core stop growing before it became a star? The answers remain hidden beneath clouds that no light can penetrate. Perhaps the universe keeps them secret because some truths are meant to stay unfinished. Still unfolding in the great machinery of creation, Jupiter was the first to rise, and it will be the last to fade. Long after our oceans dry, long after the Sun expands and swallows the inner planets, Jupiter will endure. It will drift through the remains of the solar system as a silent relic of what once was, the oldest witness of our beginning. It was never a king. It was the builder, the breaker, the survivor, the destroyer that made life possible. For billions of years, Jupiter has ruled the void like a silent guardian and a silent threat. It has shaped the orbits of planets, controlled the paths of comets, and dictated the fate of everything that moves within the reach of the Sun. But beyond its storms and gravity, Jupiter carries something far more powerful. A legacy written across space and time. Every civilization that ever looked up at the sky has seen Jupiter shining like a slow-moving lantern of the gods. To the Babylonians it was Marduk, the lord of creation and judgment. To the Romans it was Jupiter, father of thunder, ruler of heaven. To the Greeks, Zeus himself. Across continents, across languages, humans instinctively gave this planet the title of power. They saw in it not a world of storms and gas, but a symbol of divinity, a celestial empire glowing above the night. But the truth behind that beauty is far darker. Jupiter is no gentle god. It is the cosmic executioner, the reason so many other worlds never had a chance to exist. Where Jupiter moves, chaos follows. Its gravity acts like a weapon, flinging asteroids across the solar system, scattering comets toward the inner planets, and tearing apart what could have become peaceful worlds. The asteroid belt, for instance, is not a failed planet by accident. It is Jupiter's creation. Its gravitational tides ripped that region apart before it could ever form into something whole. What remains are millions of broken fragments, a scar left behind by Jupiter's violent dance. And yet this destruction came with protection, because while Jupiter hurls death across space, it also stands as a shield for us. Its massive gravity pulls countless comets and asteroids away from Earth's path, capturing or absorbing them before they can reach us. Many of the impacts that could have ended life on our planet never happened because Jupiter was there, absorbing the chaos it once unleashed. It is a strange justice, the destroyer becoming our protector. The same hand that once tore the heavens apart now guards the fragile spark of life. When the Shoemaker Levy 9 comet struck Jupiter in 1994, the world watched in awe. Each impact left scars larger than our entire planet, and yet the giant barely flinched. It swallowed destruction as if it were nothing. That single event reminded us of something humbling, the scale of Jupiter's power and how small we truly are. But the legacy of Jupiter isn't just written in its storms or its gravity. It's written in its moons. Orbiting this giant are more than 90 known moons, each a world of its own. Among them are volcanic Io, frozen Europa, icy Ganymede, and mysterious Callisto, each carrying secrets of cosmic evolution. Io, closest to the planet, is a world of fire, torn and reshaped constantly by Jupiter's tidal pull. Its volcanoes spew sulfur across space, painting Jupiter's magnetic field in glowing colors invisible to human eyes. Europa, in contrast, hides an ocean beneath its crust, a vast liquid sea stretching for miles under ice. Scientists believe that in that dark ocean, where no sunlight ever reaches, life might already exist, thriving in the warmth of hydrothermal vents, just as it does on Earth's ocean floors. Ganymede, the largest moon in the solar system, is even bigger than Mercury, with a magnetic field of its own, the only moon in the solar system to have one. And Callisto, scarred and ancient, carries a surface that has not changed for billions of years, a time capsule from the dawn of creation. These moons tell a story Jupiter cannot tell by itself. They are its witnesses, born from the same disk of gas and dust, shaped by the same gravity, each carrying a piece of the giant's history. Through them, Jupiter continues to influence not just our understanding of the past, but our vision of the future, because one day humanity may not live on Earth alone. If our planet becomes uninhabitable, if the sun grows too hot, we will look to the outer worlds, to the icy moons of Jupiter and Saturn, as potential homes. It sounds impossible, but every discovery brings us closer to that dream. Perhaps beneath Europa's ice we will find not just microbes, but the blueprint of survival. Perhaps the future of humanity lies in the shadow of Jupiter, the same world that nearly destroyed us before we were born. The paradox continues. Jupiter destroys, and then it saves. It crushes worlds and then gives birth to new possibilities. It rewrites the laws of survival in every age of the cosmos. Even the energy that sustains life on Earth, the stability of our orbit, the rhythm of the solar system, depends in part on Jupiter's gravitational balance. Take Jupiter away, and the solar system would fall into chaos within millions of years. We owe our existence to this monster of gas and storm. Without Jupiter, there would be no Earth. Without its early hunger, our planet might never have formed. Without its gravity, we might never have survived. So, when you look at Jupiter, glowing faintly in the dark, wrapped in clouds and lightning, remember that it is both the maker and the murderer, a being too immense to understand, yet essential to everything we are. The destroyer, yes, but also the origin of our hope. It is the greatest paradox in all of space, a planet that kills to protect, that takes so that life may live. Its story will outlast ours. When humanity is gone, when the oceans vanish and the sun burns red, Jupiter will still orbit in silence, carrying within it the memory of all that was. Long after our last words fade into dust, Jupiter will remain, vast, eternal, indifferent, the destroyer that became the guardian of creation. For as long as the universe remembers, Jupiter has never been silent. Its clouds move like ancient scrolls, recording every birth, every collision, every secret of the cosmos. It has no surface, no ground to stand upon, and yet it stands as the most solid truth in our sky, proof that beauty and violence can live within the same being. The great red spot still rages, a storm older than every human civilization combined. It spins endlessly, swallowing smaller tempests, reshaping itself with every turn. And perhaps in that storm lies the purest reflection of time itself, endless, unbroken, unforgiving. A reminder that everything we call eternal is merely waiting to be changed. We call Jupiter a planet, but it is more than that. It is the memory of the sun's childhood, the shadow of what could have been another star. It is a story written before stories began, one that does not need us to exist, yet defines the very reason we exist at all. For every second that passes, Jupiter's gravity still molds the solar system, its silent hand steering the dance of planets and comets. Balancing the chaos of creation, humanity looks up at Jupiter and sees power. But if we listen closely, truly listen, we will hear something else, the whisper of origin, the echo of the universe's first heartbeat. Because when the first sparks of the solar system ignited, Jupiter was the drum that kept time. And even now, when the night is quiet and the stars burn faintly above, that rhythm still hums through the void. We are made from the dust Jupiter once cast away. The same chaos that forged its clouds forged our blood. Every heartbeat on Earth is, in some small way, a continuation of that ancient fire. Jupiter is not our ruler, it is our reflection. A monument to both creation and destruction. A teacher in silence reminding us that greatness is never gentle. It is born from storms, and one day, when our world fades, when the oceans are gone and the skies no longer remember blue, Jupiter will still turn, still burn, still guard the bones of our solar system like a watchful titan that refuses to rest. Its clouds will still twist in endless motion, writing the story of time in waves of gas and lightning. It will never know peace, and perhaps that is its purpose, to remind the universe that even gods can be restless. So, as we leave this world of storms, remember this. Jupiter is not the king of planets. It never wanted a throne. It is the destroyer that became the protector, the devourer that gave us life. the fire that turned chaos into order. And though we call it a planet, in truth, it is the echo of creation itself. This is the Wonder Lab.